with this Arthur Smith offense, what type of receiver do we want? We talked about it all off season last year as far as who do we want, who would be good opposite George Pickens, and if we were being honest with ourselves, Deontay Johnson was the perfect complement. He could play the Z position, which is technically flanker, but it's still opposite outside. Now, not in every formation, I understand that, but for the most part, he's going to be opposite George Pickens, off the line, but able to do a lot. So, who fits that bill? As far as the type of receiver, and I think that's what the Steelers want. Let's break it down a little bit. Well, the first thing is it kind of depends on what you do with Pickens, on whether you get an X or a Z. If you trade Pickens, you're going to want to replace him. If you don't and you keep him, well, okay, then you go to the Z. Then what do you want as far as a Z? Well, you need a route runner. You got to have that, because George, I think he can be better if given the opportunities to run more of the route tree, but I don't think that's his forte. But you need a guy that can go get open. If the play is designed for George and he's covered, what about the backside? Is that guy open? Can he consistently get open? Because, again, Deontay Johnson could do that. And the Steelers never had that this past year. There was a problem. It was a big problem. So what does that look like? Well, that's the first thing. Depends on what the Steelers do with George Pickens and what you need either replace or complement. That's number one. Number two, we do not need another slot receiver. Okay? A lot of people keep saying, well, go get this guy, that guy. In free agency, there's a lot of slot guys out there. We've got Calvin Austin III. We've got Roman Wilson, possibly. I mean, we got to see if Roman Wilson can actually get on the field this year. But those guys are not X or Z wide receivers. They're just not. So those are truly slot receivers. Well, if that's the case, then we need to go get somebody else. We've got guys there that can do that job. So no slot receivers. It's not that a slot receiver doesn't work in a Steelers offense. We have it. Okay? So we that's not what we need right now as far as the type of receiver that we need to go get. We need route runners. I mentioned that earlier. We need guys that can go get open. Now, a lot of times people are going to say, well, come on, Big B, those are slot guys. There are plenty of guys that play the Z position that can go get open. I just mentioned Deontay Johnson. There's plenty of guys that can go get open. Darius Slayton is another one. DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper. We'll break all of that down. There's plenty of these guys here. I mean, you look at them. They're available. They're going to be available. That those guys can get open. I like them all. I like them all. Amari Cooper, to me, is one of the most underrated route runners, maybe in the history of the National Football League. He is the opposite of what you would think a wide receiver is. He's quiet. He's not braggadocious to the media. He complains behind closed doors. I mean, it's not that he's not asking for the football and stuff like that, but he kind of does it quietly behind closed doors. But Amari Cooper is an incredible route runner. And don't tell me he wouldn't help the Steelers. And maybe we're overpaying. Fine. He's 30. He's got some years left. Pay the man. Pay the man if that's the route you want to go. I would love to have an Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Darius Slayton, those types, guys that can go get open. That's what you need. That's what the Steelers need, as far as what's available. I know that the T Higgins is out there, but to me, T Higgins is the Brandon Ayuk of 2025. 2024 offseason, it was Brandon Ayuk. 2025 season, I feel like until T Higgins gets signed somewhere, he's going to be the Brandon Ayuk of this offseason. And I don't even know if the Steelers would be the side piece. Like, Brandon Ayuk turned the Steelers into his side piece, just teased us, told us he was going to leave his wife, but never did, was never going to, and just used us until he didn't need us anymore. I don't even think T Higgins gives us that opportunity. I really don't. I don't even think that he's going to entertain the Steelers. I know there's lots of people that keep saying that, but again, why would T Higgins sign here? Like, what makes it attractive for him other than money? And don't get me wrong, money is a huge part of it. But other than that, what makes him so what makes the Steelers and what we do so attractive? We don't even know who the quarterback is going to be yet. So, and yes, by free agency, we'll know that. We will fairly quickly. But either way, I don't think T Higgins is the play here, at least not for me. And then the last part is the draft, man. The draft. There are plenty of guys that are going to be in this draft that the Steelers can get all up and down it, wherever they want to get. I think they should go early. Don't get me wrong. But I think the Steelers need to double dip this time in the draft. Double dip at wide receiver. You saw the intricacies of what this offense couldn't do because guys just couldn't get open. You know, it was either they weren't open, the schematics were bad, the line broke down, Russ didn't see the field. You know what? It becomes easier to see the field when you know guys are going to be open. When you know what, I look right, but I can come right back left, and I know that guy has done some work over there, and I can get the ball out of my hands because he's going to be open. It makes it easier. It does. So those are the things that the Steelers got to work on or that they need as far as the type of wide receiver. And maybe this offense will look a little bit better moving forward because there was just, I feel like we can hate Arthur Smith's offense, but I feel like there was a lot more to this offense that just didn't get done. It just didn't get done. You can blame it on whoever you want, but I feel like there's more. It's archaic. Don't get me wrong. The offense is archaic because it is. But even being archaic, there's still things that were available that didn't get taken advantage of by this offense. Again, quarterback not playing well, not seeing the field, O-line breaking down, receivers not being open, play calling in certain situations, terrible. Everybody's to blame. Nobody is blameless, but nobody is 100% at fault. So either way, that's the type of receiver that the Steelers need to get behind and go find for this offense. Now, look, people, every offseason for everybody is always the most important offseason. You know, you're either rebuilding a team, you're trying to be competitive as soon as possible, you're trying to get over the hump, you're trying to you're over the hump, but you're trying to get to championship level. If we're all being honest, the Steelers are mired in mediocrity. Some people don't believe that the Steelers are in mediocrity. They believe that because we make the playoffs, that's not mediocre. I beg to differ. I think when you can't win playoff games, when you can't be competitive in playoff games, then you are mediocre. Now, if the Steelers were out there and we're losing 1-point games and, they're kicking field goals at the end of the game where we lose in these playoffs, then I would say, you know what? We're right there. We're right. We need another piece to get over that hump, but we are right there. Is that the case, though? I mean, you've got to be honest. And if you know me and you know this channel, we are always going to be honest. Whether you like it or you don't like it, we're not going to sugarcoat anything. And you know that the Steelers have not been competitive in, let's just say, the last 3. I would say the last 4 playoff appearances, that debacle against the Browns. So the last 4, we've gotten the doors blown off. Just not competitive. That's the truth. Sorry. Facts are facts. We haven't been competitive. So if you're not competitive when you get to the playoffs, how can you say that we're not mediocre? Just because a team that finished 1 game behind us didn't happen to make it into the playoffs, you say they're mediocre. So, but because we finished 1 game ahead and then got destroyed in the playoffs, all of a sudden we're not mediocre? No, that's not how any of that works. We are a mediocre franchise right now. James Harrison is calling it out. The standard is the standard, but now it's just a saying. We need to get back to the standard being a standard. He's 100% right, in my opinion. We got to get back to that. And so this offseason is very important. Starts with finding the quarterback, starts with solidifying the O-line, starts with getting more weapons, making tough decisions on who stays and who goes, even if they're a popular player, even if they're still a player that's productive. Those decisions still have to be made. You can't keep everybody. That's not how this works. And in that shape or form or in that fashion, the Steelers need to be moving forward with their thinking, not standing still. And I know a lot of you, that's the problem that you have at the Steelers. They're just standing still. That's the problem that I've had. That it seems to be that we're okay just standing still, and I don't like it. It's time to move forward. Time to get better. Tough decisions, but you know what? These people are paid millions and millions of dollars, some billions of dollars, to be able to make these tough decisions. Now it's time for them to make them. It's time for it to happen, people. So that's all I got for you guys today, man. I appreciate you as always. Again, like, follow, subscribe, get in those comments. Always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content's coming out. This offseason, a ton is going to be coming out for you guys. Memberships are available, people. Remember, 5 separate layers. Make sure you sign up for one. The higher you go, the more access and more content that you will get, man. So we appreciate you guys, and aloha.